This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, January 26th, in the year 1997, the Green Bay Packers finally came back to prominence as they won their third career Super Bowl and first in almost 3 decades. It was huge because the Packers won the first 2 Super Bowls ever and couldn't get back to the dance, even if they tried. So anyway, the Packers would face the New England Patriots in this Super Bowl, and the Patriots were decent at that time. All that. So New Orleans got to host the Super Bowl in '97, and this was actually the first time Fox would broadcast the Super Bowl. So it looked pretty impressive. All that. Now the New England Patriots went to the Super Bowl in 1986, also in New Orleans, and got their butts handed to them 46-10. However, that started a slow decline, as the Patriots would have some dismal seasons, including in 1990 when they went a dismal 1-15. But by 1993, the Patriots had enough confidence to give Bill Parcells the reins to the team. His first year, it sucked. They were 5-11. However, they quietly went through, and Robert Kraft bought the Patriots, which saved them from a potential move to St. Louis. Regardless of that, the Pats actually started out 3-6 in '94, but won 7 straight to be 10-6, but lose to the Browns and their future head coach Bill Belichick in the playoffs. The Patriots did excellent with an 11-5 mark in the 96-97 season, winning the AFC East, becoming the 2 seed in the AFC. They had Terry Glenn, who was a good rookie wide receiver, catching passes from a great quarterback by the name of Drew Bledsoe. Ben Coates was a great tight end himself. Curtis Martin put up 1,100 plus yards and 14 touchdowns, which was huge before his move to the Jets, but he played for the Patriots. Willie McGinnis was a key Pro Bowl linebacker, and William Malloy with Ty Law had a great secondary. The Packers, on the other hand, were decent. They won the first 2 Super Bowls, but they became a losing team for most of the 70s and 80s, getting to only 2 playoffs in those decades. Mike Holmgren became head coach of the Packers in 1992 and put up 9 wins. And of course, significantly, Brett Favre started his consecutive game streak, replacing injured starter Don Majkowski. Anyway, Green Bay would then go on to 3 straight playoffs in '93, '94, and '95, and they looked pretty decent. They picked up Reggie White in free agency, and in '96-97, the Pack won 13 games. They started off quite well, and the defense looked good for the Packers, giving up the fewest points and fewest yards allowed. They put up 456 points to lead the NFL, while giving up only 210, becoming the first team since the 72-73 Dolphins to do so. And they put up 7 wins by more than 3 touchdowns. Favre was the MVP for the 2nd straight season. This was actually the season that Favre actually spent a month in alcohol rehab and got out of it. Desmond Howard was a great kick returner. He won the Heisman Trophy with Michigan, and he was decent and all that. The Jaguars cut him, and the Packers picked him up and put up some great yardage. Joey Freeman and Don Beebe were great wide receivers for the Packers at that time. And Beebe was hoping to win the Super Bowl finally after being part of the Buffalo Bills team that lost 4 straight Super Bowls. So anyway, Green Bay picked up Andre Rison, who had a decent season, and Keith Jackson, the tight end, put up 10 touchdown catches. Green Bay had a 2-headed running back, Dorsey Levens and Edgar Bennett. They didn't run for too many yards individually, but as a team they looked good, and they had a good offensive line. Reggie White would put up 8.5 sacks on defense. Santana Dotson was a great defensive tackle. Eugene Robinson was a great safety. And Leroy Butler was a good defensive back. Of course, Eugene Robinson 2 years later would make headlines at Super Bowl 33 for the Falcons for all the wrong reasons. The Patriots would take care of the Steelers on home turf in the division round 28-3 as their defense worked well. And then they beat the second year Jaguars 20-6. The Jaguars shocked both Buffalo and Denver to get this far. And the Patriots had home field because of that. And they took care of Jacksonville. The Packers would crush the Niners 35-14 in the divisional round on home turf. Okay. Green Bay then took care of the second-year Carolina Panthers in the NFC title game 30-13. The Panthers were the second-best team in the NFC, but the Packers proved to the Panthers that expansion teams don't get in that fast. So anyway, Green Bay did their job taking down Carolina. Anyway, the Packers were given two touchdown favorites. People thought the Patriots were a Cinderella team, and the NFC had dominated in the Super Bowl. But there was one little problem, though. The Patriots were distracted because of Bill Parcells allegedly wanting to leave for the New York Jets. And it was like shocking how he would be so gung-ho on trying to move to New York to be part of the Jets organization. And the fact of the matter was that, he was still a Patriots head coach and all that. So anyway, yeah, so this Super Bowl, they actually painted at midfield the Super Bowl logo, which was unusual. Usually it was just the NFL logo. All that. For 7 years, they would put the Super Bowl logo at the 50-yard line, but then they would go back to the NFL logo midfield. So anyway, it was disgusting for the Patriots as a whole. But anyway, Fox would be ready to go with Pat Summerall and John Madden being the color commentating, being the play calling duo, and they looked pretty good. James Brown, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, Ronnie Lott for NFL Sunday was also at the game too. They had done their Fox box and all that. So anyway, it was huge and all that. Pre-game ceremonies were decent. The halftime show was Blues Brothers Bash, as the Blues Brothers of Dan Aykroyd, John Goodman, and Jim Belushi performed. They highlighted blues music and all that. So anyway, on the second offensive play of the game, the Packers got a touchdown pass from Favre to Andre Rison, and Bad Mood Rison scored a touchdown, 7-0. Later on, Chris Jackie would kick a 37-yard field goal to make it 10-0. The Pats would storm back as a pass interference call helped New England get a first down at the 1-yard line, and Bledsoe threw a small pass to Keith Byers to make it 10-7. And then the Packers had to punt, but Bledsoe threw a key pass to Terry Glenn to get to the 4-yard line. Ben Coates got a touchdown catch. Pats were up 14-10. Those 24 points were the most in a Super Bowl first quarter ever. Anyway, New England's lead was short-lived as Favre would throw another long touchdown pass, this time an 81-yarder to Antonio Freeman, and the Packers were up 17-14. Packers would kick a 31-yard field goal by Chris Jackie to make it 20-14. And then after a few key plays, including an interception by Mike Pryor, Favre would throw some key ones, and then he ran for a 2-yard touchdown himself, 27-14 Rat Pack. The Pats tried their best, but it didn't work. The Packers were up 27-14 at the half. So, anyway, Green Bay tried their best, but they had to punt the ball. And then after Curtis Martin got an 18-yard touchdown, the Packers were up 27-21. And then the play that was to define Super Bowl 31 is when Desmond Howard got the ball on the ensuing kickoff and then ran it back 99 yards for a touchdown. The longest play in Super Bowl history at the time. And it was huge. Desmond Howard got a special teams touchdown in the Super Bowl. Mark Chimera would pick up a 2-point convert, and the Packers had a 2-touchdown lead, just like the experts had said. So anyway, the Pats couldn't do anything in the fourth quarter. Neither could Green Bay, for that matter. So Bledsoe actually ended up with more pass completions than Favre. Unfortunately, though, he threw not one, not two, but 4 interceptions. Favre was 14 for 27, 246 with 2 touchdowns. And he even ran one in. Favre was responsible for 3 touchdowns, 2 throwing and 1 running. And yet he was not named Super Bowl MVP. Somehow, in some way, they gave Desmond Howard the Super Bowl MVP trophy, which is kind of controversial, to say the least. So anyway, Green Bay would win the game 35-21, a key win for them. Vinatieri was the kicker for New England, if you must know. So yeah, I feel a little disappointed that, Favre didn't win the MVP trophy. All that. The question on everyone's lips would be the aftermath. Well, first for the Patriots. The Patriots would be back to the Super Bowl in 2002 to face the greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams, in New Orleans again. But this time, the Pats came through with a win thanks to Vinatieri's last-second field goal and Tom Brady coming at quarterback for an injured Drew Bledsoe. So that was just amazing, all that. Yeah, the Pats lost parts out to the Jets, but the Jets had to give a first-round pick to the Pats. And, the Pats waited 3 years for their head coach, their big head coach, and that was Bill Belichick. They had to go through the Pete Carroll phase. The Rat Pack would be back in the Super Bowl the next year and heavy favorites to go back-to-back and win their 4th title in franchise history. But John Elway and the Broncos stopped them cold in their tracks and finally got the AFC a Super Bowl win for the first time in a long time. The last AFC team to win the Super Bowl was the Raiders in '84, and then it took till '98 for the AFC to finally win the Super Bowl with the Broncos. So this was just unprecedented. The Packers were able to do well and looked like they were going to go to the Super Bowl in 2008 and 2012, but both times were stopped in their tracks by the Giants at Lambeau, of all things. The Packers did get to the Super Bowl in 2011, losing to the Steel Curtain. No, winning the Steel Curtain. And it was just amazing what could happen. So, Super Bowl 31 is kind of underrated, especially by me. Anyway, I'm Jeff Downright Dude.